Hello and welcome to this short video on being active. This is part of our Caring for Yourself series of short videos taking a really practical approach. Quick hello from us. We are from Team Boo, and what we do at Team Boo is we support organisations to be the happiest and healthiest they can be. And we do that in three main areas. So we work in coaching, in leadership and well-being. So the work that we're doing today is all around that well-being arm, and we're focusing on what being active means to us and how that fits into looking after ourselves. We always start our videos by coming onto our well-being grid. What our well-being grid does is it helps us to understand how we are. It helps us to understand where we are feeling at this very moment in time, whether we need to take a little bit of time out or whether we're doing really well at the moment. If you haven't seen Properly Selfish, I really encourage you to watch that because we go through that in a lot of detail. But as a really brief overview, as you can see on the screen at the moment, we've got high energy at the top, low energy at the bottom, positive energy on one side and negative energy on the other. When we are in our high and positive energy space, this is what we call our performance space. In this space, we are feeling really on top of things, we're really efficient, we're focused, we're getting things done, we concentrate well, we work well with others, we're quite collaborative, quite creative in this space, and we just feel quite bountiful of energy. When it comes to getting a little bit of movement into our day, we'll probably find it quite easy to do in our performance space. What can often happen in our performance space is that we take on a lot and we might move into our stress space where we've still got some of that high energy, but we're maybe starting to feel a little bit negative. We might start noticing that we withdraw, maybe we try and take on even more. Maybe we isolate ourselves from others, and we might find it hard to get things done. It will be difficult to concentrate, difficult to focus, and we might be feeling some more negative emotions in this space. We might also feel the physical effects of stress. So when we are experiencing stress, we have a hormone called cortisol that starts rushing through our system. Now that cortisol can manifest itself in so many different ways, but what we might start to notice is that our sleep starts suffering. We might start to feel a little bit tense in our bodies, maybe feel a little bit spiky as well. We might not be as kind to other people. We might find that we feel tense in our bodies. We might find that our tummy starts to hurt a little bit. And when we're in this stress space, we are unlikely to do as much movement as we would do in our performance space. If we are in this space for too long, we might end up in the space which we call burnout, where we have negative energy, but we also have low energy. So it'll be really difficult to do anything at this point, whether it's for home, work, life, and especially when it comes to movement, we'll have very little motivation to move at this point. We will need some help within this space, whether that's through medication, whether it's through talking therapies, but it absolutely will be through rest and renewal. Now, our renewal activities, there are hundreds of activities that we might do for renewal, and a lot of those might involve movement. It might be around getting active, and being active can help with that renewal. What we want to start thinking about is how can we bring some of this micro renewal into our everyday. We often wait until the end of the day or the weekend or our annual leave to look after ourselves and do some of this renewal. But the ideal situation is if we are in the performance space and we take a little bit of time out for some renewal, we're more likely to come back into the performance space. If we're in that stress space, if we again take a little bit of time for renewal, we're more likely to come back into performance or protect ourselves from going into burnout. And if we are in that burnout space, we will absolutely need to do a little bit of renewal before we can get back into that performance space. Now, one of the key ways of renewing ourselves is by being active. That's a really lovely activity that can help renew us and help top up our cup again. And so that's one of the reasons that we're talking about being active today, because being active will help us to top up our cup and feel a little bit better. Now, we are not the people who can tell you what activity you should be doing. We are not going to be telling you you should all go out and run a marathon. That is absolutely not the case. So please do not close your laptops right now. We are here to start thinking about what kind of things can we do to bring a little bit of activity to our everydays, and even what little micro activities can we bring to the everyday. Before we go into the scientific side of the benefits of being active, I'd love to pause just for a second. And we often hear about the physical effects of why being active is helpful for us and the benefits of it. But I want to ask you now, what are the benefits of being active in terms of our psychological space? So what does it mean for you? When was the last time you found it fun? What did you even enjoy as a child? Are there any things that you think back to that you just used to love doing? I know for me, one of the things I loved as a child was getting out on my bike and riding through a forest. And that's one of my favourite parts of being active now, is bringing a bit of nature into some of those things around being active. Now, I'm sure we'll all be fairly aware of some of the physical benefits of being active, but the things that we often hear about is that we experience more energy when we move more. We find that we get a reduced risk of some diseases. We improve our sleep. We have healthier bones, organs, and weight. And we reduce the risk of our physical health problems as our bodies adapt to stress. As we were thinking about when we were looking at the well-being grid, we might spend quite a bit of time in that stress space, and being active can help us to reduce some of that stress, reduce some of that cortisol in our system so that we have healthier lives. Now, we all probably know those benefits. We all know that being active is good for us. But there's quite a universal thing that sometimes we don't be active. So we wanted to get some of those barriers out the way. So why don't we just share and think about some of those barriers right now, and think about, are those real barriers, or are these barriers I'm making up in my mind? We know that being active needs a bit of motivation. So let's get out of the way all those barriers now. Maybe some of those barriers are, oh, I don't have the right kit. Maybe somebody will laugh at me. I don't have the time. I know one of my favourite barriers is about my hair. If I work out now, I'm going to have greasy hair, and so I'll have to have a shower again, and that takes loads of time. It is a bit of a made-up barrier in my mind. We can absolutely spend the same amount of energy putting into our excuses as we actually do doing the activity. If it was as simple as just doing it, we would. And we all have different levels, and we all have different amounts of energy. So we need to recognize the days where we do just need a break and we need to have a bit of a rest. And maybe we need to think about the days where we are just putting in those made up barriers in our minds. Sometimes we often put expectations on ourselves of what that activity needs to be as well. We often think, oh, I can't do a 5K today, so actually there's no point in doing any movement. So we need to think about what kind of micro activities can we do? What little bits of activity can we bring into our everyday? Maybe a little bit of a micro activity is just spending some time moving our body, moving our neck, moving our shoulders, our wrists, hands, our feet and toes, and having a big stretch. Maybe a little bit of micro activity will be with our pets. Maybe it'll be going for a dog walk. Maybe it'll be just being by the seaside. Maybe it'll even be your favorite hobby, like gardening. It doesn't have to be large things. Maybe even just small nudges of activity that we can bring into the day. Park the car further away, get out the lift floor early, take the stairs, get off the bus stop early. Go out for a little walk in your lunchtime, even if it's just getting your head outside. Maybe even having a little kitchen disco whilst you're cooking dinner. It's just about bringing a little bit of movement into your everyday. You might even consider making a vision board, so noting down all of those things that you found fun when you were younger. What kind of activity makes you smile? What kind of thing do you love doing? And how can you bring a tiny little bit of that into your everyday? If you're struggling to think of things that you can do to look after your well-being every day, Action for Happiness have calendars where every single day they give you a tiny little hint of something that you can do. So I'd really encourage looking at those. So a little recap of everything we've been through today. Do what works for you. Try not to have these expectations of what you should do, and do things that make you feel like you're a child or make you remember what was fun about being active. It's more about being active than doing exercise. Maybe create yourself a vision board of things that you enjoy doing and look after yourself. Be kind to yourself. I want to finish off by asking you to consider one small act that you can help prioritize your well-being today. Maybe it's a tiny little bit of being active today. Thank you so much for joining us for this short video. Our social media handles are on the screen at the moment. We'd love for you to come and be our friends. Thanks. Let us know how you get on.